Mahone, analyst for NIP. Today, I'm going to be going over a T-side POV demo of Hsieh in his match against Gambit at ESL Pro League Season 14. So just going to be looking at the T-side here on Inferno, and there are a couple of good things that he did. Even though he didn't get kills exactly, there are a lot of good things that he did for the team, and I want to kind of break that down. So let's get started. Okay, so the first round we're going to talk about here is actually round 2. And here in this round, you're going to see that he's going to AK up. This is a very dangerous round just in general. Whenever you win the pistol round, the second round is so dangerous just because the CTs they can force and they set up a bunch of traps that you could fall into. So here, initially we're going to see that he's going to Molotov towards car. The rest of his team, they're basically going to group up more towards second mid. Now something I want to kind of point out here is that the CTs, they actually often like to throw this combo here where it's a smoke as well as this close Molotov. Something that a lot of players like to do is to actually smoke that Molotov there, the one just in front, to try to provide a little bit of resistance so that, you know, the CT pushing up feels uncomfortable to actually do this. So this is a key detail, a very small thing, but something that a lot of players like to do. Now in this round, you're gonna see that Shiro's gonna get this kill onto Masuda. Hsieh's gonna come back and group back with his team, and they're gonna try to hit towards short. Now here, after his teammate dies, actually Shox takes down Kyojin. You're gonna see they're in a 3v5 situation, and they're in a bit of a stalemate kind of situation here, where they're all here grouped towards short. But you'll see here that Hsieh, he takes his first peek onto the player towards library. He gets this kill, opens up the site a little bit, but they still actually have to break this crossfire right here, where Axel is here towards pit, and then Shiro here on top of this ninja spot, and all his teammates are basically grouped up here. Now, one thing that Hsieh does here for his team is he actually takes the initiative to actually go in. And this can be a little bit tough, especially for newer teams where you're in this kind of situation here and who's gonna go first, right? Because then you need one person to at least make space. So Hsieh is gonna do exactly that. And look at the way Vitality coordinate this. So Hsieh, he's here, and then he swings out, tries to clear the site, and he's able to get that kill into Shiro. And you can see here that as he does that, Shox from the left side here, he's watching pit the entire time. So as Hsieh swings over towards the site, Shox is waiting for the re-peek. And this is some really good trust by Vitality because on some teams, you know, this kind of trust may not exist. Maybe even Shox actually tries to creep into the site at the same time. But you can see the coordination is there. Hsieh, he's the first person in, he swings onto the site, gets that first kill. Shox is holding the pit guy. And here, in additional, you can see that Hsieh, he sees Axel here and takes the fight towards pit. But notice right here that he actually looks towards this modal area, looks towards long. And that's because he trusts his teammates here to actually take care of this player towards pit. And you see that Apex, he's jumping in with the Mac 10. And then Shox, he's also here holding the right side, while Hsieh, he's waiting for the rotation kill. And this is a very key detail that you don't see a lot of other teams actually be able to pull off. The amount of trust that it requires for you to actually be able to do this is very, very impressive. So Hsieh being able to kind of hold that down, you can see that the trust in the team is there, and you're gonna see that in another round moving forward. Okay, so next round we're gonna talk about here is round 4. So this round is a bit of a weapon round. So Hsieh gonna start things off by Molotoving towards the car, and you're gonna see here, like I mentioned before, with that smoke, this time he's actually towards the broom position, and it's very typical that the CTs are gonna throw that Molotov, so he's ready here to smoke basically. Basically, if you're gonna use that smoke, you just right click it. Here, they don't throw the Molotov, so instead he's actually gonna scale up on the right side. And notice right here that as he scales up, he's basically peeking all the corners. He has a teammate throw a Molotov like this, and then Hsieh is gonna peek this corner and try to clear towards the sandbags position. Now after he gets to this position here, you can see that a lot of the teammates are actually kind of anti-flash, just making sure that in case they flash, that, you know, they're not all caught off guard. But here you're gonna see that Apex, he's actually going to throw a flash for them. So if I rewind a little bit, he's gonna throw this flash for them right here. And when he throws this flash, Hsieh is actually gonna swing off of this. Swings off this, realizes that this setup here is actually a very common setup from Gambit. This is actually, even in our team, we call this the Gambit setup, where they have one guy close, one guy coffin, and one guy CT spawn. Because he knows the setup, he actually takes down the first player. And after getting that kill, it makes them into a 4-on-4 situation. But what's really smart by Hsieh here is understanding the setup that they're in. Because he was able to get that first kill, something that teams like to do is actually try to re-aggress the flash. So you'll see here that Hsieh, he's gonna throw this flash here at Banana. And because he throws that flash, it's actually gonna prompt Gambit to throw their flash. And look at how this is done. So Shiro, he's gonna throw his flash. And you'll see that from ZywOo's point of view, he's actually playing behind this half wall position to dodge this flash that's coming from the CTs. Look at the way he does it. He dodges it right there, and now he knows exactly that this guy's gonna peek, and he gets the kill. So that's very, very, very good awareness by ZywOo, understanding what kind of setup they're in and what kind of possible reactions they have. And you can see now at this point it's a 4v3 situation, and the rest of his team, they're gonna start grouping up back towards B. So Apex, he's gonna bring the bomb back. He's actually gonna flash one more time for ZywOo here to allow him to clear this angle. And right here, ZywOo, he has low HP. And in this 4v3 situation, they wanna kind of feel out the site a little bit. So what's gonna happen here is that ZywOo, he's gonna go in first. He's gonna go in first and try to clear the site and see where they are. And you can see here that with Hsieh and Apex, they're trailing a little bit further behind him because with ZywOo with low HP, if he dies, his primary role here is to try to get information. So if you get information, even if he dies, his teammates who are a little bit further behind him will be able to follow up. And that's the one thing to kind of keep in mind whenever you're entering towards the site is that you want to make sure that in certain situations, you don't want to be too close to the point where you guys get multi-killed, especially when you're in a man advantage situation like this one. Sometimes you may just want to have your low HP player kind of scout out the site first, get the information of where the player is, and then have your more full HP players be able to actually trade. There isn't anybody in the site this time, but you can see the idea of what they're trying to do here. Okay, next round we're going to talk about here is round 8. So right here you're going to see that another weapon round, ZywOo with the AK. And this is actually a really good demo to watch just the whole match, just because he AKs basically the whole time. There's not a time that he uses an op. So he starts things off by throwing a Molotov at car, some initial utility at banana, and you can see here triple nades towards the corner. This is actually a bit of a game plan from Vitality in this particular match to just ensure they make sure they get banana. And since Gambit are playing more passively, they have to respect the banana control that Vitality are taking, just because, you know, with that many nades, you have to keep 2 towards B. And because they can keep 2 towards B, what this allows Vitality to do is actually send more of their team over towards A and be comfortable with the fact that there's very likely only just 3 players at A. So Vitality, they're gonna go for a bit of a Halls pop here. So 3 players, Masuda are gonna be leading from the front, and Hsieh and Kyojin, they're gonna have flashes. So here off the flash, you're gonna see that Masuda, he basically runs out and jumps out towards the left side, and then ZywOo's gonna do the exact same thing. Now what you're gonna see here though, is that level of trust that I was talking about with his teammates before. So they both jump out towards apps, he sees the guy towards that pit area, he fights a little bit, but notice right here that instead of trying to directly engage him, he's actually going to try to fight the long player. So he goes graveyard here instead, and he lets his teammates deal with this guy pit. So you can see here that Hsieh, they know he's here. Apex, he's going to throw a Molotov, and then Masuda, he's here towards the site. But you'll see that ZywOo, he's just hanging around here towards this graveyard position, waiting to see if the CGs are going to react, just based on the fact that the player is still in pit. He's just waiting this whole time. And he'll even put a little bit of pressure for his teammates to try to get this Inter's player at pit to try to, you know, maybe react. But he's still constantly holding this long position, and he's trying to get the rotation kills instead because, like I said before, look at his teammates. They're both handling the pit player, and Masuda's here towards this library area. So the amount of trust here and being able to just know what your teammates are trying to do is very impressive. So ZywOo is able to get that kill into Hobbit, while the rest of his teammates, they worry about the guy pit, and they get the kill finally. And at this point, ZywOo is in such a good spot towards this graveyard position, it makes it hard for the CGs to actually retake. And after that pit player is dead, then he can go and plant. So this is the one thing where, you know, lower level teams, they may kind of panic when they're in pit, or when there's a CT in pit, where they all try to just tunnel vision in and try to kill him. But you can see that Vitality and ZywOo, in particular, he knows that he can trust his teammates to do their job and kill the guy pit, where he just needs to hold the rotation towards the long player, because if you can get that rotation player, it makes the round a lot easier for them if they can also kill that pit player. Okay, the last round we're going to talk about here is round 10. So this round, you're going to see a bit of a timeout taken from the T's. They're going to buy up here. And ZywOo is going to throw this flash. This is the 147 flash, very basic standard flash that a bunch of teams basically use at all levels, I'd say, at this point. And then this flash will basically blind the CGs if you decide to push up towards banana. And it's a great way to kind of support your teammate who could be here towards this banana area to ensure that he doesn't die for free. Now, as he comes up, ZywOo is just going to Molotov towards the sandbags area, once again taking banana control away from Gambit. and forcing them to basically play 2 towards B. And what you're going to see here is that Gambit, they're actually going to throw the retake nades. And this is actually a pretty good exchange because all ZywOo really threw was just a Molotov there. And it's baited out 2 pieces of utility, because one of the things that you want to do as the banana player, like on T side, is you want to bait out the utility of the CTs as much as possible. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where late round you're hitting a bomb site where they have 2 smokes, 2 Molotovs still. So you want to draw out this utility as much as possible. And you can see here that the CTs, they also double nade up close, so that's why even if you bait out the retake nades, you have to also be ready for the additional follow-up. So he backs up towards this Logs position, making sure that he doesn't take any damage. And a nice little reaction that ZywOo and Apex have here is after they've taken this car position, what they're actually going to do is they're going to boost up. And they're just going to kind of creep forward. You can see that Apex, he's directly underneath them. They're just walking forward bit by bit so that ZywOo can get close enough so he can make the jump and kill Nafany here towards this half wall position. And now at this point, it makes it a 5v4 situation. ZywOo, he's able to smoke the CT spawn area, and he also knows that there's a player towards CT. So he knows that the A rotation player has actually come back towards B. So now they know for sure this is probably a 2-2 setup. And Shiro's normally the operator, he normally plays towards long, so now he's at B. And ZywOo, what you're going to notice here is that he's actually going to run right past this Molotov. And the reason for this is because, one, he has his teammate Apex who actually just throws a flash room right here. He throws a flash room here to allow him to do this. And the bigger part is actually the fact that the rest of the team, they're actually going towards apps. So he's selling a bit of a fake here. He's selling a bit of a fake here to try to pull the rotations of the CTs so that they actually have an easier time of coming out of apps here. And you're going to see in a moment, Masuda as well as Kyojin are going to jump straight out of apps and try to take this A site. And you can see because ZywOo actually pulled or kept those 2 players at B here, it makes it so that this is basically a 3-on-2 fight where Vitality, they're in much more of a favorable position to actually trade these kills out. And you can see exactly just that as they kind of work the site more slowly and they're able to finally get these kills towards the site. And as well, just because these players were a lot further back or deeper in the site, it also means that rotations are a little bit late. And hence, even though Shiro's right here at this point, and that makes it a bit of a difficult retake as now Vitality, they're already set up. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow NIP on all the socials down below. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.